Welcome back to Country Stitchers. This is the other half of 53.
Oh my.
Don't adjust your YouTubes. We are going to repeat Spotlight, which is where we were just getting into our discussion about the Queen City Sampler Guild. This just gets more exciting all the time. We thought it was my phone. We thought my phone and my storage was causing difficulties. I had tried altering things. Anyway, the long story made short, Deb's phone just did the exact same thing that we've had going on while we recorded that I had going on in the last failed attempts. So it's going to take two phones, two of us.
It's very frustrating.
And 2 times today, but we're going to get through this. So it'll be posted in 2 sections, and we're at Queen City Sampler Guild. We want to show you the work that was done by the ladies. And Deb's going to show you pictures. I can't see it now because my phone is now recording. So I'm going to describe it from my notes. This was done by Teresa Baird. And this design has 2 boats in it. The Belle of Louisville and the Delta Queen. Paddle boats at the bottom. And has fireworks if I'm looking at the right one.
Yep.
And it's just beautiful. Now each of these personalizes their sampler just a little bit differently. The next sampler, you'll notice at the top has a saying on it.
Hold on, was it? I went the other way. So the 2 little beauties that you just saw were 2 of her granddaughters. Anyway, okay, now we're back. That was a commercial.
Take it away, girls. So then number 2 is has a new banner at the top. Instead of just Queen Cincinnati, Ohio, it says Queen of the West in her garlands dressed on the banks of the beautiful Ohio. And an alphabet too, right? Is there an alphabet with that at the top? And then it has 2 different boats right in the very section here. Is there an alphabet at the top there? Just the same?
No, that's just the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then there's
It's beautiful.
a different take on the boats. That's the Delta Queen and the Ohio. And then the third one has also got at the where does it list the University of Cincinnati? Okay, that's right. That large building, instead of being Mrs. Wozencraft's Needlework Academy, is designated to represent the University of Cincinnati. And that's the versatility of this pattern, is that there's a lot of history in Cincinnati that they're able to bring into these samplers and label different parts of it. The row homes are there with paddle boats, and then there's also manufacturing down at the bottom. The fourth one, this one has an alphabet at the top. Yes?
Yep, sure
All right,
does.
finally.
Sure does.
And also Mrs. Wozencraft's Needlework Academy. And then the 2 buildings to each side down at the bottom, one is the Female Institution, and the other one is the Young Ladies Seminar. And this particular stitcher was a founding member of the Queen City Sampler Guild. The 5th one, again, Mrs. Wozencraft's Needlework Academy with row homes and paddle boats down at the bottom are DQ, I assume is for the Delta Queen and the Ohio. And then they have manufacturing. One side is a building that's a foundry, and the other side they've labeled as a storage facility. The 6th sampler shown here has a city banner at the top. Again, has factories, and like has the boats are stitched without fireworks. It's very much like the first one we looked at, only without the fireworks. And then I just always get drawn to that Quaker border on the right every time I look at this. The 7th is Mrs. Wozencraft's building is not there, and it's personalized with the stitcher's name. And then it has Cincinnati, Ohio, and the founded date.
What's the building?
This building right here has the name of the stitcher above it instead of Mrs. Wozencraft's.
Oh, I thought you meant the building wasn't there. Okay, gotcha.
Nope. Just changed the personalization at the top from the name of the building to her own. And then there's paddle boats there. And those are the 2 buildings to either side. She labeled as specific industry. Procter & Gamble is to one side of the base, of the bottom, and the other side of the bottom has Midland and Delta Queen for the paddle boats. The 8th one is Cincinnati HC, and I would like to know what HC is. I don't know that reference here. The difference seen in between the paddle boats has a public landing. That's the first time we've seen that in any of the samplers. And then the 9th has, again, an alphabet at the top, has 2 paddle boats, and they're using buildings for foundry and storage at the bottom, and then they have the Olea Queen and the Ohio for the paddle boats, and they also have row homes. And the 10th sampler has the Cincinnati, Ohio HC in the banner with a unique central section down at the bottom in between the 2 factory buildings, which has a fire department. And then we have a Delta Queen and a Quaker border also on all of these. But the last one is the Cincinnati HC border at the top, and 2 paddle boats, NO and the Vesta. And I'm assuming NO on this one is for New Orleans. All of these are just
They're gorgeous.
Unbelievably gorgeous.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Jana, for sending us these to share with everybody at the Dropbox.
Yeah.
And next week we have another guild lined up for the spotlight, so don't miss that. And thank you very much for continuing to send in your information. And all you need to do is send it by email. Let us know, and we'll let you know what questions we would like you to answer for our spotlight segment.
Yes.
So
Wonderful.
please keep those coming.
All right.
And now, fun part for me, whips.
Yes.
Whips.
Yes.
What do you have working on?
Finally show some stitching. So I caught up with my Amethyst Band Sampler. So I will show you where we are to date.
Want to see mine? Do you? Didn't bring it. Nope. It's at home.
All right, so I just wanted to show you again. It's so pretty. It's fun to do. And we are all the way down here. So this alphabet was fun to do. It's a very pretty alphabet. And we just finished off with some of the 4 bands, I think, this last week. So tomorrow I will get more homework. All right, so I worked on that, and I worked on my...
I wish you'd have been here last week, though. She didn't have it all done.
Oh,
that was the first time she didn't have it all done.
I worked on my Knee High by the 4th of July. Kathy Haberman, hands-on design pattern. I'm doing it over 1 on 25 count vintage country mocha. I have my corn stalks. The actual corn in the cob is a French knot, and it's only wrapped once. And on top of my stalks and on top of the actual ears of corn, I just have some straight stitches in a couple different colors up there. The grass is an elongated cross stitch horizontal in there, just to kind of give it a little bit of texture, something a little fun. So this, I don't think I'm going to do the sun up there. I'm not positive yet. I might change my mind, but I think this is actually finished. And what I've decided to do was, when I saw this pattern, I thought it would look really cool if it looked like the actual flag quilt was hanging from this fence. So I've decided to stitch my flag on this fabric, and I'm going to finish it off and then attach this to this piece so that it hopefully gives the look that the quilt is hanging over the fence on that. And my flag, the blue and white section is stitched with a cross stitch, and then my red and white stripes are going to be horizontal straight stitches. Hopefully that comes through there. Gives it a different look. So that's my plan for that. Then I worked on my Jenny Bean Friends sampler by Shakespeare's Peddler, also known as Kitten Stitcher. And I'm so close to getting this finished. last time I showed you, I was over at the stone house, and now I'm over here at the brick house. So this whole corner over here is finished. Finally, it felt like it took forever to get that stone house built. And my weeping willow tree, I did that with some long and short straight stitches. Those are not cross stitches. I have, I was supposed to use a color in here called tomato, I think, but it was just way too orange. So I changed that color because I wanted it to look more like a brick. This color here, I did not have the one called for color that I think was Moonlight Path. So I changed it to Summer Shower, and I used it a couple of different places. I used it down here also, and I used it in some of the flowers in this vine here. I am not going to fill in the background where the words are. I think it looks just fine the way it is. So all I have to do is finish this house and the roof, and then voila, done. D-U-N. Yes, I know that's not how you spell done. It's just, that's a family thing that we make a joke about. Let's see. I had a few people ask about the elongated cross stitch. So I used it up here in the roof. I used it over here in this roof. I actually used it all over this house here. I just thought it helped fill it in a little bit better. It gives it a really cool texture. This roof up here really turned out cool because I not only used the elongated cross stitch, but then I wove a piece of thread through it. So just to kind of give you an example, when you're doing a regular cross stitch, like if this is your fabric or it's even weaver Ada, and you're doing a regular cross stitch, it looks like this. So if you're going to, it's kind of, an elongated stitch is kind of stretched, so you can do it either horizontally or vertically. In my roof, I did it horizontally, and then what I did was I took another piece of thread then and I brought it through my stitches all the way across. That's the red marker that I'm showing you here. So I just kind of stuck my needle after I did the elongated stitches. The whole roof was finished, and then I just loaded my needle again and stuck my needle under those cross stitches the whole way under and just pulled that thread the whole way. And it gives it a really cool look, a lot of texture. And then for the straight stitches that I was telling you about on my corn cob, really you just kind of fill it in. You can come out of the same hole if you want to. You can use different colors and kind of start up a little further. Just kind of fill it in and haphazardly stitch them, long, short, however you want to, whatever it is that looks good to your eye. So hopefully that helps you for those of you who wanted to know more about that kind of stitch. And then that's about all I got finished.
Awesome. Your stone building looks really pretty.
Thank you.
I can see why that would take a while.
Yeah, it's a pretty sampler.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's see. I had a couple things going on. I'd worked on my dogs a little bit, ink circles, dog pile. I had shown that to you a while back. I hadn't started it at the time. I had 2 little puppies done. I did this a little differently. It was kind of fun. Instead of doing a lot of counting, which is where I usually get crossed up with the medication I'm on, trying to go across empty space is not fun for me. So I thought I'm going to try turning it upside down and stitching it from here. And I did, and it was so much fun, and it worked out perfectly well. So I'm going to start doing that now as I pile my dogs on and not have to do as much counting. And I know some of you have done that in the past because we've talked about rotating pattern and rotating the fabric to do it differently from different places. And then I had time to do a little bit on my Blackbird Designs stocking, April Showers. Down there at the bottom left. And this is one of those patterns that I was saying has a lot of counting in it that can get me cross-eyed. I did have to pull out the part of the handle because it's got all these little individual stitches around that you have to count to, so I'm leaving that for last. I'll leave the worst for last. And let's see. I had one other thing I was currently working on, and that was a peyote piece. It is the Mardi Gras. I just hold it up against my little notepad here. There we go. There it is. Can they see that? Because I can't.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm just about ready to do the decrease to the point of it, and then I'll be done except for the fringe. I thought about staying up last night to finish that, but nope. Decided the bed was more enticing. So I'll work on that later. And then I had a couple finishes. This was one that we did that I picked up at the retreat that I had asked them to put away for me after market. I had seen it on Facebook. Facebook caused me a lot of problems there for a while. And so Sarah put this back along with the wood to finish it on. And I happened to have that purple fringe because it was given to us in a gift bag at the Jamboree last year with a lot of other little Halloween colors and types of finishes. And I thought, oh, that's exciting. I can finish it just like the picture. So
Very pretty.
and the pins are like the ones that I got for Deb and I. Well, they are the ones I got for Deb and I. They're just the posies that I pulled out of the packet. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finished 2 more of the Acorn Fobs, and those got mailed away. And then I also designed another fob of my own, a blue one. And this is going to someone that I happen to know likes the color blue, but I'm not going to say who it is today. I'll say who it was next time.
Very pretty.
And then I also did 4 blankets. These took a little while. All I did on these were just really thin fleece blankets that were in a big bin inside Kmart. Gosh, I think it was March, after like Christmas and all of the winter sale. And I thought, you know what? If I bought 2 of those, if they had 2 of the same, I could stitch them together, or I could do the tying finish that a lot of people do where they just tie them off on the sides. They cut the fringe and tie them, because my granddaughters love these fleece blankets. So I did, and what I did was I just buttonholed both pieces together the whole way around. And I've done 4 of these now, so they'll each get one. I was 1 short of letting them go home with them this weekend. All 4 granddaughters stayed with us over Memorial Day weekend, which is the first time we've had 2 nights sleepover with 4 of them. And it was a lot of fun. But they'll get those next time, or maybe next time we see them, it won't have to be another sleepover. But so that's kind of the different things that I was working on. I didn't get a lot of other stitching done.
Okay. I have one more thing that I forgot to show you. She's sitting over here. I had showed you...
Oh, I'll bet you were reminded by the buttonhole stitch, huh?
Yes! Yeah, exactly. A few videos ago, I don't remember which one, I had showed you that I had a bear cut out, but I hadn't had it put together, and I used to make them a long time ago, but I had since either gotten rid of or lost the pattern. I wasn't sure. I knew it was a simplicity pattern. So when we were cleaning out Nana's craft room, I had made one for her, so I was able to bring her home, and I wanted to show you what the finished bear looks like. So this is her. She's a big girl. So
This is Deb's third child.
yes, this is her. So the simplicity pattern, you get to make the bear, the hat, the jacket, and then her cute little dress. And then I just put little work boots on her.
I love these things.
With little like tops of socks that you can cut and just shove them into the work boot there. And
Oh, is that all you have on there? Is just the top, the
yeah,
cuff?
I just cut
Oh,
off
clever.
old socks. Yeah.
I thought sure you'd be trying to put the sock in the
No.
boot and everything else.
Which, I mean, you could do too. But anyway, she is a lot of fun. Very, very cute. I put some blush on her. I didn't name her
Can't
yet.
go out without
but
her makeup.
Yeah, but she's really cute and a lot of fun. But the blanket, the buttonhole stitch, blanket stitch, is it either name, right?
Yeah.
It's the same stitch.
Same.
This reminded me when Liz showed you that, because this was the very first attempt I had ever done at that stitch, and it's awful on here.
Oh, I don't think so.
It's really bad. I think it's bad.
It's a little uneven on her cuffs, but by the time you get up here to the top, that's more even all the way around on her hat.
Okay, just don't look too hard.
Okay.
But It's okay. I mean, you know, it was my
What are
first.
friends for, right?
Yeah, it was my first attempt, and I mean, I think I did pretty well in the bear and everything. And it was the first time I ever sewed any kind of clothing. I had never made anything before like that. So she's a lot of fun, and I just wanted to be able to show you her finished look. Put a little doily that you fold on her jacket, and then you stitch that on with some buttons.
Did
and
you
then...
stain this? Or did it come that sort of tea color?
No, it was like that.
Wow. That's
But
really
you know
cool.
what, though? I bet you somebody did. I found it at a flea market.
Oh.
So maybe somebody did.
Okay.
I didn't. But, yeah.
It does look old, though.
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
It? I mean,
yeah, it
looks
does. Yeah.
very old.
And then she has a little, it says autumn thyme there, because Nana was really into gardening and all her herbs and flowers and everything. So, and then a little yo-yo. So, that's her.
Adorable.
She's a big girl.
Where's she going to live?
Over in my cradle
Okay.
that Matt made me. She's going to sit in there. So, yeah, almost forgot to show you.
Precious.
All right.
Oh,
What are we up
wow.
to now?
Crossing our fingers.
Yeah. We're hoping we got to hurry and get done in 2 videos so we don't make this into 6.
Yes. We'd run out of devices, too,
gosh.
wouldn't we?
Yeah.
We only have 2 more iPads to use.
Yeah.
I guess at this point, we're actually at Gadget Corner.
Yes.
So, continuing down that thought that Colleen had asked me about that tape, which, that reminds me, I think I dropped that in here. Yes, I did. Forgot to get the tape out when I arrived. This is the highlighter tape she was talking about. It comes in a spool, just like regular cellophane tape. And I usually tear off the piece that I want the length to cover the area I'm stitching, and then I just fold back the one end and seal it down so that I have something to lift off real easy. And this is just like Post-it note adhesive. So you can put it on and take it off and reposition it, which is really nice. So this is available at Staples. It's available at most stationery type stores. I think I even saw it at a drugstore. So I'll put a link to where this can be found. And it comes in orange, yellow, green, purple, and I think blue now too. But there are other types of highlighters, and since it's Gadget Corner, we ought to show the other gadgets. This is a highlighter guide. There were 2 in this packet, I think, different colors, and this stays on your pattern if you use an easel or even if you just set your pattern down with static. So you rub it over your pants, your shirt, whatever, and then it'll cling to your paper, just like this one's stuck inside. The same is true of these. They're called Twotimers. Now these go back in time because this was the first rule of any kind that I used on my patterns when I stitched back in the 80s. And it came with an assortment. I like the way they did the accordion packaging too. And they had several different lengths. That's the smallest on up to the largest with each bend in the fold of the packaging. That's if you can get your fingers in there. And then the actual longest one at the top. And then it all comes folded together and sealed. And this was what I used. And I like the depth of this because you can, it's just about 10 stitches on a pattern. So that's nice. And then you know that when you're moving it, you're just going down the grid with it. But I wanted to point out also that as you're looking at guides and things of that nature, keep your eyes open. There's all kinds of things out there that are helpful. This is by Daris. It's called a hole scaler, but each side is done at a different count per inch. So it goes 11, 14, 18, and 22 on this rule. So if you lay this along your fabric and it matches each of the thread counts with each grid on the ruler, you're looking at an 11 count fabric. Same thing would be true if you laid this side on your fabric and each grid matched a thread count, then you would be looking at an 18 count fabric. So these are really handy. This just came in a magazine and it has the same grid scale at the top for you to use on your fabric to see what you're working on. as well as a needle gauge at the bottom, and you can lay your needles here and see which size needle you're using. That's very handy too. And again, that was with an English magazine that I used to get, and this is also from the World of Cross Stitching magazine, and it's very similar. It has a fabric guide on this side, and then on the back it has a needle guide, and it has a lot of other information scattered throughout. So those are all really handy. So keep your eyes open when you're in a stitching store, or if you're looking at magazines, or you're just going through your drawers, because you'd be amazed at what you have stuck away.
I like the highlighter tape a lot.
I do
That's
too.
awesome.
And I'm actually using it at home right now on that Mardi Gras peyote pattern, and on my, I use it on my band sampler.
Oh
Yeah, the one,
Okay.
the one that I'm not current with. That one. Oh. Well, anyway, if this gets posted,
yeah. We gotta figure this YouTube thing out.
yeah, we will finally have gotten through. They've been redoing their format for a while, and it may be that there's something we need to be doing we're not, and we're waiting to hear from them about why we're having this trouble. So when we figure it out, it'll help us for sure, and it'll make us a little more readily available. We'd like to thank all of the local needle workshops and the designers and the other Flosstubers and all of our viewers for everything that you contribute
Yes.
to the needlework craft. And we'd also like to encourage you to subscribe. And we'd like to ask you this time, at the end of this video, if you would use the thumbs up button to let us know if you're stitching with someone else. Do you have a friend or a guild or a group that meets monthly, whatever the case might be, that you stitch with? And we'd like to get a read on how many viewers have someone that they stitch with.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So use the thumbs up for that and give us a count so that we can figure this out.
And thank you for all of your wonderful comments. Just thank you so much
Yes.
for all the support. And we had lots of giveaways. They were actually in part 1 of this video, so don't miss that.
Yes, go back to the other half
Yes,
of
yes.
video 53.
Yes, please. All right, and until next time,
Yes, as usual. Share the joy of needlework. Bye-bye.
See ya.